It's so exhausting. Really, we're working on the exhaust on the Monport today. Yeah, we're working on the exhaust on the Monport today. There's a few different ways that you can exhaust the fumes from one of these machines. The most common way probably is through a window. You run the vent through a window opening and exhaust it that way. Another way is a dedicated vent going out the side of your house or shop or wherever, much like a dryer vent would be. And then there's also the air purifiers. I don't have an air purifier, and this room doesn't have any windows. So I'm left with one option, which is going through the baseboard of my house. And I guess it's more clean, professional looking, whatever. I don't have any windows, so I don't have any choice.
Okay, so I'll show you inside. I'll show you right where that is, and we're going to go about a foot off center here. So somewhere in this area is where the vent is going to go. Just ignore that I have to power wash the side of my house to get all that moss and crap off of there. Okay, and this is the hole dozer by Milwaukee, 6-inch hole saw, and it's going to go right up there. We're going to make a mark from the inside and then drill to the outside, but we're going to use this to space it properly. Okay, there's our little mark going to the outside. So now we're going to drill it out with a 1/4-inch drill bit, and hopefully it gets us through to the outside. We have to go through this one, another, I think it's a 2x10, and then the plywood and the siding on the outside. So I mean, just these two pieces by themselves is over 3 inches deep. So we'll see how deep we can go. All right, well, that went better than expected. I can see daylight. Sweet. So now we got to go to the outside. Okay, so there's our hole, and we have our hole dozer. And what we're going to do first is we're going to actually run it in reverse. It's still warm out, but I don't want to take a chance of cracking the siding. So we're going to run it in reverse until we get through this siding, and then we'll run it forward going through the other stuff. There we go. Ran it in reverse just to get it through that, and you can see it gave us a nice clean hole instead of like grabbing it and ripping it and shredding it all to shreds. Especially if it's cold outside, you want to make sure you do it that way. Well, it's time for a moment of silence. This brand new drill just ate it, and I haven't gotten through the first piece of lumber yet, so not so sure I'd say get this one. It was smoking and it's crackling. Okay, a quick pro tip. You see we're cutting almost all the way through here, and we have these wires. We don't want to hit them with the drill bit, so you take a piece of cardboard and fit it up in there, and that will make the bit of the drill hit the cardboard and not the wires. There you go, see? It hit the board instead of the wires. We've got the flange and the hose attached there. This is a 25-foot 6-inch hose. There is a hose clamp underneath it here, and then I covered it all with some duct tape, and now it's time to just shove it through the hole. I had a slight change of plans. Turns out this hole is tighter than my prom date, and I didn't even go to prom. But I ended up coming from the inside, evidently shoving 25-foot of hose through a hole that is exactly 6 inches with a hose that is exactly 6 inches isn't the easiest thing. So pushed it out from the inside, attached it, pushed it back in there. We're good to go. So now the last thing to do is we're going to fill around the outsides with some caulk and put the cover on it, and it's done. In doing some testing of the Monport, I have come to the realization that the stock fan for this application here in my basement isn't going to cut it. So here's what I've gone ahead and done. I went ahead and bought an inline fan. There's more cleanup to be done, but this is where I'm at the moment. So the hose is coming from outside to here to the fan, and then it comes down and it goes over there to the laser itself. So this is all going to get making a lot better looking here pretty soon. But I wanted to get everything the way I wanted it first before I dealt with the hose. But the stock fan just can't push that length. It's about 20 feet altogether, and it's just too much. If that was the outside wall and the fan was right there, just needed to push right outside there, it would be fine. Maybe even 4 or 5 feet. But for the distance that I need to go, it's just not adequate.
We are dealing with electricity here, folks, so let's go ahead and unplug the machine to make sure that we're being safe. This is a external light that I just have sitting in there so I could see the nuts or the screws inside there. So there's no power on this machine at all. To gain access to the fan itself, I just went ahead and I removed some of the knife blades and the honeycomb bed, and then raised the bed up so that you can access the screws in there. All right, you're going to want to either lower or raise your bed so that you have access to all 4 of these screws. These screws are threaded through this fan plate here, so there's no nuts on the back or anything like that. You can just completely unscrew them. And now that those are all 4 undone, this should just come right on out. Fits right out through the hole. And you can see here's the wiring for it. We're going to go ahead and clip the red and black right here and deal with it. With those 2 cut, we have a couple options for them. One, you could just wire nut them and tape them right where they're at. 2, you could pull them back into the main part of the cabinet and wire, nut them and tape them there too if you want. Or you can always take it all the way back to the junction box, the power supply on the other side where they actually connect, and remove it there. For me, right now, I'm going to just put them inside the main cabinet because I might want to add a fan somewhere else in this machine, and so we'll see if it will work or not. There you go. So I just taped mine up and I shoved it into the wire management back there, and it'll stay out of the way. You don't want it just flopping around because you do have, here you got your Z-belt, the Z-height lift and all that crap, spinning around, and you don't want those wires getting caught up in all that. You're asking for a world of problems. Now you should have this waiting for you. And this is the actual fan itself in this black area. This is just a thing that goes onto the hose, and then this is that inner piece. There's a couple ways you can go from here. One is you can just remove the fan. And if you did that, you will have to either drill holes into this outer plate here or into the flange itself here because the holes don't line up. There's 3 of them on the fan on this front side and not on the back here. So they don't line up perfectly. So you got to pick your poison and go one way or the other. Probably the easiest way would be to drill into this because of, this is just a narrow area. For me, I'm not using any of it. So I'll show you what I'm doing. You may be saying, Ryan, why can't we just leave the fan in there? Why do we even got to take it out at all if we're adding a more powerful fan? And the answer is kind of simple. The new fan with this fan, they'll fight each other and it won't work well at all. I did it as on a last cut that I just did before I started taking stuff apart. And it doesn't clear the smoke out. It's worse than when it was just this one by itself. So I don't recommend leaving it in there. You need to take it out. And the other thing is, if you just cut power to it, you have all of this in here that's blocking the air. So we're trying to make it as free-flowing as possible. And as it's drawing air, it's going to try to spin this and all that, which is taking away from moving air from inside the laser compartment. So it needs to go. So we're going to be replacing all this with this. Let me tell you what this is. This is a quick disconnect hose setup. So what I did is I modeled this front plate here
with the correct hole placement. So we have that here. Then I modeled in 25 magnet spots. Wasn't really necessary to do that many magnet spots, but I figured I wanted to print it out once and I wasn't going to do it a second time. So this is going to take place of that, and it's going to come right in the machine like that. And then this is the actual hose adapter here. So this guy sits right on top of that, and there is movement there, so it can move around if it needs to. And then when you just go boom, it's ready to go. It's nice and solid. It's not coming off. So I did the same thing with this guy. You know, you can see the extra holes here. I only wanted to make it the one time, so I put 25 holes in it. I have 100 of these little magnets, so there's 2 in each of these holes that go around. And so I figured if I did 25 in each, at worst, I'm using all 100 of my magnets that I bought. At best, I have some left over. After I did the same on this as I had on here, but what I found was that it would attach here just with one magnet, and then it would be 2 empty ones. So it wasn't as sturdy as it could be. So, but with 3 here and then all 25 here, it just locks on wherever it needs to, and it's a nice solid connection. So now the next thing to do is put it back together. All right, so here we are. I've gone ahead and I've attached the hose part to the hose itself, and you can see this ring here. It's got just enough clearance that it will swivel and all that, so it makes life a lot easier. So let me show you how it hooks up. All right, so there's the hole, and we're just gonna take this now. I'm just gonna feed it on through, and it locks right in. And my phone falls off. Oops. And from in here, everything looks great. Really excited for this. I think it's gonna work really well. And side note was that somehow I nailed that circular opening with my design and didn't even try. So pretty sweet, cool deal. The last thing to do now is just test it out. So let's cut something. Realized after the first few seconds that I forgot to focus it, so stopped it and restarted it. Hard to see on video, but you can kind of see in this area here where the smoke is just pulling straight out of it. We are at the vent on the outside, and you can see it's blowing the plant right there, so she's working really good. It's about halfway through the engraving portion of this little project, and when I've cut this before, I'd be smelling the burntness of the wood and stuff like that right now. Well, it's MDF, but whatever, you get it. And I smell no change, so it's doing a really good job of getting that the smell and fumes out of here. While this is doing its thing, I do wanted to point out something that every laser should have nearby within arm's reach, and that's a fire extinguisher. I made this little stand out the other day and screwed it into the wall, and it's just a real simple, easy to get to. Got this fire extinguisher from some discount store that sells like excess stuff or whatever. Oh, we're making progress. We're getting ready to start the engraving. But anyway, every laser needs one of these. Get yourself one. Now you can really see the smoke. Look at it. It's just flying right over there. It's doing a really good job of evacuating the smoke out of it. Very cool. You're cutting right through that MDF. Also, as an update for using the
the 5000 chiller. That's really a radiator. We started out at 19.1 and we finished it at, well, now it's at 20.3. So it's gone up 1 degree for this cut. So not too bad, we'll take it. And there we are, a nice simple little project. Just the logo, and it showed how well the new extraction of the smoke and everything did with the new fan and everything. I'm really happy with it. I think it was great. The new disconnect that I put on there, I think it works really good. It's going to really make it easy for when I need to pull this thing out of the closet. It's just as simple popping it off and moving the machine. No screwing around with trying to unscrew it and getting it back on and all that stuff. It's just done. Besides that, if you're interested in one of those disconnects, leave a message down there in the comment section. Maybe I'll make some of them and make them available for purchase for other folks that would find them useful. I think it's pretty cool. I like it. Even if you don't have a need to disconnect it often, it's just a real simple way of being able to get to it, I guess. I dig it. So thanks for watching. Like it and subscribe it and all that good stuff. And we'll see you on the next one.